Guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary and high school age. Today is going to be a vlog day, and actually yesterday was supposed to be a vlog day. However, it did not turn out exactly how I wanted, which is totally okay. This week, the 30th through the 3rd, is my yearly reset week, and what I do during this week is kind of reset my home and really deep dive on next year and figure out exactly what I want to do, the projects and such. I've already done my goals, but this is going to be a lot more nitty-gritty, trying to, again, figure out projects, work through all of my planners and get everything set up, think about my finances and closing out 2024 and planning for 2025. So a lot of it is goal related, but it's just a little bit different. I need to work through all of my calendars, get January set up, so it's going to include a lot of my monthly reset stuff as well. And it's really just a nice week to settle into the new year. That's essentially what it is. I'm not starting my goals for 2025 until January 6th. That's when I've decided to start my year, because I don't know what I'll actually get done this week that I may want to accomplish in January or beyond. It really just depends. Sunday night, Lucy was sick, and so, like overnight, and so I did not sleep well, and I think that kind of threw me off yesterday morning, and I did not plan out my week on Sunday the way I normally do because I was trying to take Sunday as a rest day. And so I did my weekly plan in my new Common Planner yesterday morning. It was chaos. I did kind of a daily list. I did not get very far. I will leave I think my weekly plan with me might already be up, so I will leave that. Just trying to figure out a new system is challenging. Then Jack and I ran a bunch of errands. We went to look for frames for glasses for both of us, and they were ridiculously expensive. So it was a shock to me, and we could not find frames that we actually liked. And so I was not willing to spend the enormous amount of money on frames that I did not love for the cost. So we ended up coming home and around lunchtime, and then in the afternoon I was just mainly doing Monday reset stuff, laundry and getting the house kind of tidied and stuff. So, and then reading. So I did not get anything done yesterday that I wanted to. That's not true. I did do some things, but not all of the things relating to my yearly reset. So we're starting again today. I feel a lot better. I was able to go for a walk on the treadmill this morning. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to manage my health and wellness for 2025. It's going to be a lot of trial and error, I think. But yeah, everybody's still asleep right now. It's about 8 o'clock. I'm going to make myself some breakfast. I've got to plan out my day, and then hopefully we'll get started. I think the fact that today it is warmish, it's like 40 degrees right now. I think it's going to be like 45, and it's sunny. Yesterday it was pouring rain all day, and so it was really dark, and that definitely dampens my mood for wanting to get anything done. So today hopefully will be a good day. Crossing my fingers. Lucy seems to be feeling a little bit better. Yesterday she didn't eat very much. I'm excited about a new year. I kind of just still want to rest though, because it was so chaotic leading up to Christmas, and I did not feel like I was able to truly rest. Or not that I didn't enjoy myself. I definitely enjoyed myself, and there was a lot of relaxation and reading. I read a ton of books in December, but I felt the stress of getting all of my work stuff done so that I could take a little bit of a break around Christmas, getting all the Christmas presents done, making the food. I didn't even do any Christmas baking this year. I made sugar cookies, and that was it. And it was a lot. And so now I feel like is my vacation, even though I'm back to work now, and we'll be starting homeschool shortly. So not this week, but either next week or the following week. And so I've got to get all of that stuff ready. So yeah. Anyways, I need to make myself some breakfast and get going on the day. Okay, so I have my plan for the day. I did not separate out things that I want to do for my yearly reset today because it did not work yesterday. I just put yearly reset, and then I put a few other things down here that are not in my yearly reset list that I also want to focus on. But this January tending list has to get done today so that I can get it edited and up for Friday. And then I do have several work things that I need to work on. So this is my plan for the day, but again, I need breakfast first. Okay, so it's about 10 o'clock. I've eaten breakfast. All the kids just got up. Actually, I went upstairs at like 9:40 because nobody was awake and I was like, what is going on? They sleep in now, but not usually that late. So what are the things that I work on during my yearly reset? I talked about it a little bit earlier, but those are mainly my family calendar, my personal calendar, book lists, homeschool planning, budget, vision boards, and house reset. So it's a lot of planning and kind of thinking. It is figuring out days that I want for my monthly reset days over the next year. I plan those out right at the beginning of the year, although sometimes I don't adhere to them as much as I ought to. I'm also thinking about implementing the 13th week, which is something that the book, The 12-Week Year, talks about, just kind of a reset week and planning for the new quarter. So I want to maybe pick some dates for that as well. I will also figure out when my monthly cleaning day is going to be. That's something that I implemented this past year for like the first Friday of the month. And that was when I did all of my monthly cleaning tasks, like cleaning the washing machine, cleaning the dishwasher. Can't think of any of the other things at the moment, but I have a whole list. But right now what I'm going to actually start with is my book journal. Now, I did a vlog or a couple of vlogs putting together my book journal for 2025. I absolutely love using a Lightstream notebook for a book journal. I like to keep track of my books. I do use Goodreads, but I'm not great at tracking my books in Goodreads. I end up batching them, every few weeks or whatever. I do read a lot of books. I don't write a lot of reviews. I always give star ratings, and I like to keep track of which books I've read, but I don't write a ton of reviews. I'm also a mood reader, and essentially what that means is that I have to be in the right mood for a book. A book could be really well written, and it just might not grab my attention. And so I know that I'm going to continue being a mood reader, but I need to have a list of books available to me so that I can choose some books when I am not knowing what I want to read and when I've read a bunch of samples and can't figure out what I want to read. I want to have a list of books that I actually want to read so that maybe I can try one of those books. Sometimes I won't be really interested in a story when I'm reading it at night on my Kindle, and so I will see if the book is available on Hoopla from my library as an audiobook, and if it is, then I usually will start listening to it, and that helps me get into the story oftentimes, and then if I really like the story, I will just continue reading on my Kindle. So I do have a list of books. I also have a bunch of books that are coming out next year that I want to get into my book journal. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to start working on my home planner from Passionate Penny Pincher. And I have talked about how I don't use the home planner for planning. I love all of the lists. I love all of the lists, and I do a lot of pre-planning in the home planner. I will write down all of the monthly cleaning tasks, all of my weekly rhythms, and all of that stuff. I will focus on getting that into my home planner and kind of fleshing it out. And then once I have it in a good way, I will transfer that into my common planner. And I kind of did this at the beginning of July or right at the end of June when the new Erin Condren planners came out, or when they started. They actually came out in May. They're academic planners that start in July. And I went through and I was really methodical about what I wanted to put in the notes pages of my Erin Condren planner. But I know that I really liked those pages, but I need to adjust them, and I don't want to put pen to paper until I have a final version. Because I just want it to be nice and neat. So my home planner from Passionate Penny Pincher will be a little bit on the messy side, but those are the two things that I think I'm going to start with, and then I will move into January family calendar and personal calendar and seeing exactly where I end up today. Will I get through everything today? No, I won't. It will continue through the rest of the week, and it may even bleed a little bit into next week. I'm unsure if we're going to start homeschool on the 6th or not. I might just have the kids do their independent work on the 6th and start everything fresh with the stuff that I do with my kids on the 13th, so that I have that extra week where the kids are occupied and doing some school, but I still have a lot of time to work on home management projects. So we'll see, but that's the plan right now. Get started on my book journal, because I think that's one of the most fun things for me to work on, and so that's a good place to start. So I just spent like 45 minutes going through book stuff, and I'm feeling really good about the books that I have on my list. I know that there will definitely be more, and I will just continuously come up with book ideas. The problem is that I tend to save them until my monthly reset day to put them in my book journal, which I shouldn't do, because then I miss some, because I don't necessarily keep them anywhere specific, but I should. I try to, when I see a new book is coming out, I try to put it in the particular month that it's coming out if there is a date. Sometimes there aren't dates. I watch a lot of BookTube, and oftentimes there are a lot of indie authors, and the book will just be coming out at some point. These are people that have received advanced reader copies or ARCs, and so they've read the book and the book sounds really interesting, but there is no actual scheduled release date unless it's usually a traditionally published book. Now, oftentimes I will be able to find those books in Goodreads with a date associated with it, and I will put it in my book journal, but sometimes there aren't. And I do rely a lot on the Goodreads new releases section of their website, which shows you new releases of authors you've already read in the past. So I get a lot of suggestions that way, but I do want to read new authors and such, so it is a little bit harder for me to find books. So one of my goals for 2025 is to catalog those books that I see either on Instagram or on YouTube and get them into my book journal as quickly as possible, either by writing them down directly into my book journal when I see it, or by putting it on a list in my brain dump notebook, so that at some point when I go through my brain dump notebook, which is pretty much weekly at this point, I will see those books and I will transfer them to the right spot. The reason that I have a brain dump notebook is so that it's like a catch-all for everything, and then I just have a system to revisit that capture of ideas and things that I may want to process and get them in the correct location so that I can deal with them where they ought to be. But that's something with books that I've kind of struggled with, and a lot of that is because I often am searching for new books to read at 10 p.m. in my bed on my Kindle. And so it's not necessarily like, oh yes, here is a nice list of books that you can go in, and I will just instead go and download a bunch of samples and see if I can find something that's interesting to read. So if I can maybe hedge my bets a little bit and have books on my Kindle through Kindle Unlimited that I want to read, and then actually read those books before trying to get new ones, that would be good. I have all 20 books checked out from Kindle Unlimited that you're allowed to check out, and I essentially will read one book, and then instead of reading the 19 others that I've already checked out, I will have another book that I'm like, oh, I want to start that right now, and so I return one book and download another book. So it would be good if I could get through some of my backlog of books that I've already downloaded. A lot of them are at 50%, and they've just not held my interest, and that's kind of why I struggle a little bit. But yeah, so it's about 11 o'clock. Well, it's like 11:15, and I am going to get started on my home planner from Passionate Penny Pincher, and this is just, again, going to be brainstorming ideas at this point. Once I have everything set up, I will share that with you, but for right now, it is just brainstorming. So that is what I'm going to work on next, although I do feel like I need to rip down the family calendar. Well, not rip it down, but rip off December and fill out January, because the kids have been asking what we have going on this month, and I'm not sure yet because I haven't done it. So that also needs to be done, but I think I'm going to work on home stuff first. Yes. Okay, so essentially I am going to be working through the home planner now. A couple of years ago, it might have been in the spring, I rewrote the list of all of the different, let me find the page for you, weekly tasks, like that they have on each day of the week, and I wrote the ones that were applicable to us as well as some additional ones. So I need to go through that. I also need to go through my monthly checklist and just double check to make sure that the things that are on here are things that I want to be on there, and also add some seasonal things as well. And then essentially what I'm going to be doing is going through all of the checklist pages at the beginning of the home planner from Passionate Penny Pincher. Now, I do have a whole video on how I use this planner, and this is just kind of the initial setup that I am trying to figure out what are the things that I really need to make sure that I have in my planner. What are the things that I already know are habits and I don't necessarily need to worry about them? That's something that comes with home management. So oftentimes, if you watch any of my plan with me's, you will see in my week of daily plans that I write dailies down every day. Now, these are 4 habits that I don't necessarily need to write down, but if I do nothing else during the day, if I get those 4 things done, I feel pretty good about my home as a whole. There are a lot of other home management tasks that I do throughout the day that I don't really need to think about or write down or really track in any way. They are habits. I'm always going to be making food. I'm always going to be doing laundry. Are there ways to make those systems more efficient with time? Absolutely, especially with food prep. That's something that I hope to do a little bit more of in a little bit better way in 2025, but I don't necessarily need to write those things down. And if I do laundry during the day, or make lunch for myself or my kids, or take a shower, or clean out the sink or whatnot, or do the dishes, those normal day-to-day things, they don't impact my feeling of well-being in my home as much as these 4 daily tasks do. And they are things that I'm doing regardless. Like, I'm never going to forget that we need food, or that I need to make breakfast, or that I need to take a shower. So those types of things I don't necessarily need to keep track of. And I don't, because they are already habits. I already have specific hygiene things that I do every morning. And while that is part of my morning routine, it's not something that I ever track because I never deviate from it. I'm always doing those things as soon as I get up in the morning. So I don't need to write them down. But there are other things that I do need to create a system for, or that I do need to track so that I make sure that I'm doing them. And it's just kind of a reminder. And so while I have those dailies that I don't necessarily need as a reminder, when I see them in my planner and I check them off, it helps me feel better about the day as a whole. And so I will be going through and just kind of shoring up some of those things. Some of these tasks are related to Q1 goals that I have, or 2025 overall goals, making sure that the chore charts and everything that we have are the ones that we need for this particular season. That's just something else that I will be working on. So that is my next step, is to just kind of go through all of these lists, and I will show them to you. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of going through these briefly to kind of assign tasks to different seasons, things that I know we need to be doing, things that I know just need to be done. They're not necessarily goal related, because some of these things, like a lot of the home maintenance stuff and yard maintenance stuff, is stuff that my husband does, but it's good for me to have it on the calendar for particular months or seasons, just so that we're all on the same page. And then the weekly home projects, this is something that I need to go through. If you saw my setup video for July through December in my Erin Condren Daily Duo, I did write out the weekly projects from July through December. I'm going to revisit those, and then I also want to write out the ones for January through June. Now, I do not adhere to every single week's project. There are some additional ones that I add in, and there are some in here that do not apply to us. So I kind of go through and make sure that what is on here is what I need to be on here, and then I transfer this to my planner, my common planner. I will transfer all of these tasks. The emergency prep checklist is new this year, so I'm going to kind of go through that and just double check and see what we have, and if there are some new ideas that I maybe need to look at. Then over here, the monthly checklist is the thing that I need to definitely work on with the monthly tasks that I have already written out, just making sure that I have the right monthly tasks on here. And then I also have some specific seasonal things that I do that I want to keep track of as well and schedule out in my planner. That has been one of the most helpful things for me this past year. Taking the time to schedule some of these specific tasks is not something that was ever on my radar for things that are done monthly and quarterly. Those monthly and quarterly tasks I would just do whenever I thought of them, but I wasn't keeping track of them. And because of that, I never was on a regular schedule. Like I would just think, oh, I haven't cleaned the dishwasher for a while. I probably should do that. But when this past year, I took a particular day where I just spent a couple of hours in the morning working on those monthly tasks, it was just so much easier. It was on the schedule. I didn't have to think about it at all because I knew that on that first Friday, that's when I was going to do all of these tasks. Now, the first Friday was not necessarily the best day to choose to do that. And I think I'm going to have to figure out a better schedule overall based on my monthly reset day, when our breaks are for homeschool and everything. I plan all of my monthly reset days at the beginning of the year and I write them right through December. And they have been the last Thursday or fourth Thursday of the month for years and years and years at this point, and it's just a good time for me to do that. But as we've kind of adjusted our homeschool schedule to do more of a 6 weeks on, 1 week off timeline for when we're taking our homeschool break, I want to align some of the tasks with that 1 week off. Now, the problem with that is that it's only once every couple of months that we're taking that week off. And so what do I do on the off months? And so I'm just trying to manage that and just look at the schedule overall. This year is going to be just another test year. It's part of the reason that create is my word of the year, understanding that I am trying to create new rhythms and systems. That's one part of the create. So I'm not necessarily finalizing or completing all of these systems and rhythms that I want to try out for 2025. It's more just trying out new steps to see what works. And then what works, I want to keep. So as we move through the quarters, I will add new things. And what isn't working, I want to just drop. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I don't need to worry about the bill schedule. And then I may do some brainstorming on this 12-month section. It says my personal goals, but you can use this for anything. And then this other section, obviously I already did my books, so I don't need to worry about that book section. I always love these little book binding charts. I think they're so cute, but because I read so many books, they're never really helpful for me. I need one that has just like 200 books on it on one page. Maybe I'll see if I can find something like that. But having some other ideas on fun things, podcasts and such, so that when I do have downtime, I don't turn to just watching the news or wasting time. Wasting time some of the time is okay, but not all of the time. So I'm doing that. And then obviously I talked a little bit about the home management projects and financial goals. So that is what I'm going to be working on right now. Just trying to flesh out some of those ideas. Will I finish? Probably not, because now it's 11:30 and I'm trying to think about what I want to make for lunch. At least starting is what I need to do. Okay, so it is 2 o'clock and I made myself another cup of coffee. Hopefully this will keep me awake through the very late hours that my kids want to stay up. I will probably end up going to bed. Maybe I won't. We'll see. I feel like things have been going well. I've been working on some content planning for my website and YouTube and such. I have not done any of the home planner stuff. Like I just went through, well, my last update with you guys, I went through all of the things that I want to work on in the home planner, but then I haven't done it. I made lunch and got sucked into communication routines and such, which is one of the reasons that I need to download this app to track my time better. But things are going pretty well. I do feel good about how my yearly reset is going so far. I know that I'm going to end up having this in 2 parts, I think, because otherwise it's going to be too long. I do have some big planner setup stuff that I need to get through, but I don't think I'm at that point yet. And then the other thing that I wanted to get done today are my January goals, my January tending list, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think instead what I'm going to do is work a little bit more on cleaning out the fridge. I'm done for the most part. Probably should have recorded some of that so that you could see what I was doing, but I'm not great at the vlogging, apparently. I just talked to Jack about his bed and clearing out the books and everything, which is on my list for today, but that is going to be a tomorrow project because my husband will be home and then he can just handle it and I don't have to handle it. I've done the Christmas presents and I do still need to finish cleaning up the entryway, although I got my husband a juicer for Christmas and I didn't open the juicer, I just wrapped it and it was leaking oil and the bottom was all cracked. So I have to return that. And it's a huge box that's sitting in our entryway that needs to be brought to Staples at some point, probably not tomorrow, but Thursday or Friday, we'll have to do that. I think that I might still get through some of the home projects listed in the home planner, not listing them in the home planner, not doing the projects right now. But I think what I'm actually going to do is wrap up this vlog here and do some reading, because one of the focuses that I am going to have for 2025 is to rest more. And one surefire way of me resting is reading books, because I cannot be doing other things while I'm reading. If I'm listening to an audiobook, I can obviously do a lot of other things, and that's actually what I used to do when I participated in the Yarn Along that Ginny Scheller used to host on her website years and years ago. I would listen to audiobooks and knit at the same time, which I do sometimes still do, but I want to do kind of singular hobbies that make me stop and kind of turn my brain off. Not that reading can't be challenging, but the reading that I'm talking about is just fun fiction reading. It's not necessarily nonfiction reading. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Because I haven't done my January tending list yet, I'm still trying to figure out exactly the steps that I want to work on for January as far as habits go. I think I am actually going to reread Atomic Habits. I think the last time that I read it was either 2021 or 2022. So I think that it would be good for me to have a refresher in that book, and especially because I'm going to be switching up some habits, and I love the whole section on habit stacking that they talk about. So I think that I need to work on that and brainstorm a little bit more on January before I can actually sit down and film that. It's funny because I actually filmed the intro for my January tending list on the 27th. December 27th, on last Friday. And originally I had intended to immediately turn around and record writing out my tending list. And then I got distracted with the kids doing something, and then I never came back to it. And as the past few days, I've tried to sit down to kind of work on it, and I haven't been able to. So it might be one of those things where I just can't record it top down and I have to just do it on my own and then come back and record the actual tending list after I've done it. Maybe I will do that instead. I hate to do that. I would prefer to do it top down because I like to kind of talk through things and that helps me process, but I don't know. Maybe if I want to get it up for January, maybe I just need to do it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this little peek into the first part of my yearly reset. I still have a lot of stuff to do, and that's why it's a whole week. And one of the reasons that I'm going to be focusing on that 13th week from the book, The 12-Week Year, that I talked about earlier. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye guys.